You know, I don't see Bernie as a politician in the normal sense of the word. He is a fighter for justice, social, economic, and racial, and he uses politics as a means to that end. You know, before Bernie, I never had a mayor that represented my values, or a congressman, or a senator. And I just can't tell you how good it feels. So I want to give you a taste of what's gotten me so excited about seeing this guy in the White House. For the last 40 years, I've been Bernie's constituent. I've seen how steadfast and determined he is and how focused he is. And for the last 4 decades, he has worked consistently to improve the quality of life for regular, everyday people and those who are oppressed. You know, it's presidential political season. You're going to have loads of guys coming by and saying lots of really nice, sweet, pretty things. But this is a guy who has walked the talk and walked it for the last 40 years. In 1980, when Ben & Jerry's was just starting out, Bernie won an improbable victory over a long-term, Democratic, old crony, good old boy politician, and he became my mayor when he won by 10 votes. His first act was to shut down plans to privatize the shore of Lake Champlain with expensive, high-end condominiums. And what he did is he went to those developers and he said, no, there's such a thing as public access, and Bernie was able to fight him and turn that land into what is now a public park with the shore open to all of Burlington. And then when he became my congressman, he personally took busloads of senior citizens over the border into Canada so that they could buy their prescription drugs at decent prices. He voted against NAFTA before being against NAFTA was cool. He voted against going to war in Iraq twice. Then, in 2007, he defeated the richest man in Vermont to become my senator. As senator, he worked together with conservatives to force what became the first ever audit of the Federal Reserve. You know, that's some big bank that's got a shitload of money, what can I say? And that audit discovered that they had given $16 trillion in ultra-low interest loans to Wall Street banks after the collapse in 2008, and that there were many conflicts of interest. Then he led a successful effort to stop the so-called chain CPI, which would have cut benefits to people who get Social Security and to disabled veterans. And last September, Bernie introduced the Stop Bezos Act. That stands for Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Out Subsidies. And it requires large corporations that are paying lousy wages to reimburse the government for the food stamps and the Medicaid benefits that their employees need in order to get by. A month after he introduced it, Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. And now, in this highly divided political situation that we find ourselves today, it was Bernie who was able to pull together Republicans and Democrats to pass a resolution in the House and the Senate to get the U.S. out of this war in Yemen. You know, that was a good thing. When Bernie ran for president the first time, and he said that he wasn't going to take any big money, I thought it was a mistake. I thought that he would never be able to raise enough money to run a credible campaign. And then I came to understand it. He knew that if he couldn't raise enough money through individual small donor donations, that he didn't want to be president, because then he wouldn't have the army of people behind him that he needs in order to really accomplish the transformation that needs to happen once we put him in the White House. So, what do I think about Bernie, the man? Well, he's pretty much been the same. I mean, he's been consistent. He has understood that our country, our government, has been taken over by large corporations, and we have to attack that if we're ever going to become anything more than just pawns in this economy. He never wavers. He has a clear vision. He has a vision for how to make America kind again. And he continually comes up with innovative ways to do it. He's not a fancy guy. He's pretty down home, no airs. And I like his hairstyle. That never changes either. He doesn't go with the trends. He sets the trends. Just look at all the other candidates that are now doing small donor-funded campaigns, universal health care, publicly funded colleges and universities. Bernie, my mayor, the trendsetter? Who knew? But he's already leading the country. And so it is now my honor to introduce to you the first, the original, the authentic, the one and only, the next president of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, Senator Bernie Sanders.